Welcome to the Society of Cryptid Hunters podcast. Josh and David are just two regular guys who share a passion for cryptids and our world's weird and unknown things. Please follow us on your favorite podcast platform and consider supporting us by subscribing or liking our show. Join us on our journey as we delve into the world of cryptozoology.
All right, Josh. It's good to see you again.
Hey, David. I just want to tell everybody welcome to the Society of Cryptid Hunters podcast, where we like to talk about cryptids and UFOs and all kinds of conspiracies and crazy things. If you haven't found us on any of the platforms yet, your favorite podcast, please let us know. I know predominantly we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and whatever else. We're on there. We should be. If we're not, let us know. Shoot us a message wherever you're listening to this at, and join our Facebook group if you can. But today, David, we are going to go back to something we haven't done in a while, and that's discuss weird news, where we're pulling off headlines from the internets, the interwebs, if you would. And David, I think, has quite a list, and I read through some of these, and they're not so much weird as they are kind of scary to me. So we're going to get into those and stick around for the show, and we hope you enjoy it. David,
Yeah, so
take it
let's
away.
start out with I don't know if any of y'all really heard out there, but there's an asteroid allegedly coming close to the Earth in 2032. With
2032.
there's a lot of stuff currently in the news as of the recording of this, the 7th of March, 2025.
Just
Um,
for document's sake, in
for
case you're taking
document
notes.
sakes, so yeah, just in case. So allegedly, not even allegedly, I can't even say allegedly. So
You
there is
can't
an
say allegedly. You say that a lot.
I
So
say that
this
a
is
lot.
legit.
So then it's called Asteroid YR4. And it was discovered this year or last year, 2024. Um, and what was really crazy about this is the percentages kept going up. It started out like at 1.2 and then it went to 2% or yeah, 1.2% and then it went to 2% and then 3.1%. And and that all happened in like a span of like a week or two. And I was like, hey, what's going on? And not to get into any of the non-weird news of the current state of the country that we live in, but there's been a lot of stuff going on in the news that I think this kind of snuck by. Kind of like during COVID when the US Navy said that aliens exist. Well, they didn't say aliens exist, but they said unidentified aerial phenomenon exists, and they didn't know what it was. Um, well, that was my problem when this news broke, and because they were talking about the percentage of it hitting. The initial risk when discovered asteroid 2024 YR4, a very small chance of impacting the Earth, December 22, 2032. Um, what I was reading, the size the asteroid is estimated to be 131 to 295 feet wide and a size comparable to a large building. And when it said the article I read, when it said large building, the large building is like the size of the Empire State Building. So this thing is massive.
Yeah.
And I hate it when you read something like, "Oh, large building." Like, yeah, well, there's a difference between like a large building and a really large building, and the terminology isn't that clear. And this thing's huge, huge.
Huge.
Um, and
It's probably the
here,
biggest asteroid ever.
here's my problem with this. That when I started looking into this even more, it started scaring me more because I was like, oh, they're saying like the percentage. But I'm gonna get into why it scares me because the percentage went up and people started talking about it, and then they're like, "Oh, Sykes, actually, we don't think it's gonna hit anymore." I was like, "Come on, man." I mean, there's so many. We're gonna get into pop culture about this because it's very interesting, and I don't know if I've ever told you, Josh, but I'm a disaster movie buff. I love disaster movies. It's kind of crazy and morbid, but
They don't make them like they used to,
they
man.
don't make them like they used to.
I don't
No,
know if they can.
no, that's not true. Because I will get in, and I'm a spoiler
Okay.
alert into this episode. I'm gonna talk about Greenland, the movie. That's a great disaster movie.
Oh,
Have
okay.
you seen
Okay.
that one?
I have not. I have not.
Oh my God.
And I
Well,
know it was on something. I didn't have the streaming service at the time or something, but that anyway, that
yeah,
who cares?
yeah. Oh, great, great movie. But so so 2032 is obviously a long time from now. NASA came up with this, which is, by the way, like I was reading this today. I thought NASA wasn't even around anymore. I thought I was just SpaceX. I thought they defunded NASA like 10 years ago, but
No,
they're still apart.
they're still very much apart. They're still building the Artemis, which the Artemis project to build their rocket to um go to the moon too. So, but yeah,
The current status, the latest analysis from NASA and the European Space Agency shows that YAR4 or YAR
Yar.
YAR
What movie
YR4.
was that?
We have to talk
What's
about
that from?
space pirates now.
No, it was the one with Simon Pegg, where they're the police officers.
Oh, Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz. Yeah, they're like, the guy's Yarp.
Oh, no, he
Yarp.
says YARP.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, sorry.
YARP. Yeah,
Whatever.
YARP.
Yarp.
Close enough.
Okay.
Uh,
Great movie. We watched that in the theater together, remember? We
did
saw
we?
that.
Yeah. Oh
I
God.
came out to visit that one time and we watched it.
I mean, to be fair, we watched a lot of movies in the theater together.
That's true. That's true. But that one, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
So anyway, NASA
Yarp.
gave it an all clear. It says NASA and the European Space Agency have issued an all clear for the Earth from the asteroid. Um, so I want to jump to this. I asked, I've been doing this recently. I ask AI things because people are doing this now. They
Hmm.
just randomly ask AI to see if there's something weird, or if it gives a weird answer, or it gives you an answer that um might be an answer that seems like the media is lying to you, and which might might show you that maybe AI knows more than the media or whatnot. But like, so I'm starting to do that because other people have, and I asked AI, will Asteroid 2024 YR4, not YAR4,
Yarp.
hitting Earth in 2032? And it said, no need to worry. Asteroid 2024 why can I say this?
It's
Wh-
okay, man.
Which
We're not
which
professional talkers.
which initially caused some concerns, has been closely monitored by astronomers. You know,
Jeez.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you know this, but I'm not an astronomer.
You're a
Uh,
public speaker.
no, well, actually, I am, which is even worse about it. But it's Friday and I'm tired.
True, true.
The latest calculations show that it was an extremely low chance of hitting the Earth in 2032. The probability of the impact has been reduced to nearly zero, so you can rest easy knowing that the asteroid possesses no significant threat or for our planet. So here's my problem with this. That's AI. It's like, oh, don't worry that it went from something to zero. No, it didn't. Like somebody
Mhm.
told AI this. Like that. There's no like, yeah, there's probably a bunch of calculations, but let's be honest, there's so many variables that are outside of our even our solar system that could be acting against this. I'm not trying to scare people, but like I don't know, there was something fishy about all that. I mean, again, I'm not an astronomer. I said that word wrong earlier. Um, but what I wanted to jump to in pop culture and writers that talk about this specific subject. So, have you seen the movie Don't Look Up?
I don't have Netflix.
Okay. So you okay.
I will not get Netflix.
I refuse to get Netflix too. I actually watched it when I had it.
Yeah,
Um which basically Don't Look Up is like the idiocracy version of like a disaster movie.
right. I know enough about it. I read
Uh
about it. I get the gist of it. Yeah.
I mean, there's I've seen a TV show that was like 2 seasons. I think it was I can't remember what it's called, and I should have wrote it down, but I apologize. Um but there's been a lot of TV shows about this. Obviously, like we've been talking in media forever about the possibility of a giant one hitting us. I brought up earlier Greenland. Honestly, I think Greenland is a fantastic movie. And I don't want to spoil alert it to you because you haven't seen it, but it's what scares me about it and why I like it is because of how realistic that movie
Hmm.
is, because of how the people act to each other when when there is no hope.
Yeah.
And it shows you something about the US military that I find very interesting and pretty true. I suggest everybody to go out and watch it at least once. I'll tell you the premise. The beginning of the movie is um, there's an asteroid that they found that they didn't think was going to hit, and but it broke into a bunch of pieces. But one of the pieces is they called it like a continent killer or something. I can't exactly remember, but there was a piece of it that was big enough to basically take out like I think it was like a quarter or half of the world or something. And the reason people were going to Greenland is because the projection that all Americans would be fine if they got to Greenland by by the impact radius of it. Well, I won't get too much more into that movie, but the one thing that happens in the beginning of the movie is they send out this text message, and the government wants people to go to Greenland to be in these bases because they sends a text message asking for people with a certain skill sets like doctors, structural engineers, nurses, people that would be able to re-sustain life in case like it was obliterated and we could become still functional as a human race. Which I get too much into it, but yeah, like and I mean I'm not gonna again, I don't know if you knew this, Josh, but I'm not a scientist. And and I don't know a whole lot about this whole like, the Younger Dryas and how they talk about an asteroid could it hit the Yucatan Peninsula. I don't know any of that, and they don't really know it either. I mean, we
Right.
don't have any definitive proof, but um, there's a real thing about how like the gravity of Jupiter actually stops a lot of this from happening to us because it's so massive. It basically like slingshots it away from us.
Oh wow.
In layman's terms, yeah. Again, I'm not an astronomer, but
But you stayed at a Holiday Inn Express.
and I've seen a lot of movies about aliens and stuff, so I'm kind of an expert, really.
I mean, people joke about that, about watching movies and getting their information from that. But, and this is something we can do an episode on it somewhere down the road, I'm sure. But the the programming that goes on with movies is so significant with things that you wonder if somehow they're preparing you for something to happen.
Mm.
Take any topic and you see the constant themes over on, and then the more life goes on, our movies are getting more realistic and more, man, that really, I feel like that could really happen, you know? And those are good movies. I mean, I'm not saying like World War Z would happen, but who knows? Um,
Fast zombies
28 days later, absolutely good.
could happen. So it was a rage virus,
Yeah. I
like
mean,
rabies.
yeah. So, I mean, when you talk about the amount of stuff on asteroid impacts and the movie Greenland, the movie Don't Look Up, um,
One of my favorites is Deep Impact. I'm sure you've seen
oh
that.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I
I've seen
mean,
that.
and the
Well,
one
yeah,
I hate,
there's always a bunker everybody's going to for safety. And we
Deep
talk about
Impact.
there's bunkers in the media about all the rich people buying up
Oh,
bunkers.
have you ever heard of the term DUMBs? I can't remember what it's like deep underground military. I don't know, but it's basically like bunkers for rich people.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
so I mean that's a big thing. There's areas like I know a lot of rich people, well, are leaving the United States for other reasons, but they're going to like New Zealand and other places, so who knows? And why are we trying to buy Greenland? You know? So there's all these interesting conspiracies that my brain starts
well,
coming up with some crazy ideas, of
it's
course.
interesting you brought up Greenland because I will bring that up here in a little bit. And we're going to jump to the next topic so we can get to the Greenland topic. The next topic is I sent you this morning that SpaceX had another stage rocket that blew up,
Yeah, he
and you
did.
thought you thought it was an old article,
I thought it
and
was the one that happened. Was it last month?
it was two
I
months
didn't know what
ago.
happened. Another one happened. That's crazy.
It's the second time it's happened in 2 months. And I thought, you sometimes we send stuff to each other, and that's true with the way the media is. Sometimes you're like, oh, I sent this to you, and you're like, man, that was like 2 years ago. Did you check the article? Because that's the way that like all of this
Yeah,
stuff
that's
is,
true.
you
Yeah,
know. And you have to be really careful about that now, especially on certain platforms. It's getting a little better about it, but yeah,
yeah.
I had to look it up and I had to make sure because I sent the video to you. I don't know, did you watch the video of what it looked like?
And the thing is like it looked. I saw the other video of the last one, and I thought you just sent that to me again. And I was like, "This happened last month. Are we gonna? Are
The
we talking about
video,
something that happened last month?"
as terrible as it sounds, like the video looks stunningly amazing. What it looks like as it's breaking up over the
Oh
atmosphere.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Which is it's stunning and also terrifying at the same time.
yeah,
The way that it looks.
yeah.
Um, when you were in Florida, when you
Hmm.
you were working in Florida, did you ever go watch the space shuttles
Oh yeah, yeah.
launch?
No, there's a couple. I actually went out to Cape Canaveral and got as close as I could. I mean, the first couple times I didn't know what the heck where I was supposed to go or even allowed to go. So I was up by was it the Astronaut Hall of Fame a couple times at Park and so many people, so you just try to find a spot and then eventually it launches, you see it and that's it. But then I learned I could just walk outside my apartment and see them. So why drive an hour and a half to the coast so I can just see it?
I
What's
mean,
really cool, what's really cool, really got my attention is there's one night I was sitting watching TV, eating dinner or whatever it was, and I heard this big boom. Like, what was that? I thought somebody had a bowling ball and dropped it on upstairs above me. My neighbor comes knocking on our, did you hear that? I was like, no. Well, I mean, yeah, what was it? And he's like, that was the sonic boom of the shuttle coming back in. I was like, oh,
wow.
wow. So, yeah. So ever since then, I was like, man, you're right. The shuttles are right here, aren't they? So I would always know when they were at, and I still even have app on my phone that tells me when shuttle launches are happening, and I watch them on
That,
YouTube.
oh,
So
that's super cool. Yeah.
yeah, but once
Yeah.
they decommissioned that shuttle program was kind of sad because those were really cool. So.
Yeah, aren't they launching out of South Texas now? Like, is it down by Brownsville? There's some that launch there,
They
right?
might. There's a few places I know. I know he's trying to get some more places in Texas because they do the testing in Texas.
Hmm. But they're
Um,
still launching. Yeah,
mostly
that
mostly from Cape Canaveral and
still okay.
Vandenberg, but I don't know what's happening with that right now.
Well, I know a lot of people, I don't want to get into that about Elon, but I know a lot of people like to criticize him about stuff with SpaceX. But I looked into it and like there's a certain percentage that you have to have a failure with. I mean, that's with anything when it comes to like
Yeah,
industry. Like there's a certain percentage they know is good. That neither one of these, by the way, for everybody that's listening, neither one of them were manned. There was no person in either one of these
no,
that blew up.
no,
Their test which like I actually I think that's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing that it blew up. I think it's a good thing that it's unmanned and they're testing it so that it doesn't happen when a person is in it. Because me and Josh are old enough to remember when one did happen over Texas and
mhm,
there were people in it, and God bless them because that was a terrible event. I lived in
yeah,
North Texas at the time, and parts of that aircraft or spacecraft fell into ranchers' yards, and I was reading about it and listening to these people all the time because I lived in North Texas at the time, and that
yeah,
was awful.
yeah.
So, and that was what, over 20 years ago now?
I think so. Yeah, but there's when I lived in California, next to where I worked, there was they had the memorial museum for that for the Columbia. Um, so yeah, but yeah, even as a little kid watching the Challenger explode during liftoff, you might have been too young, but we watched it in school, and I didn't know what was happening. It
I
just
don't
kind of
know.
blew up, and they put us all back in our classrooms. I was like, "What happened?"
What year was that?
That was like 85,
It was three, so probably
84.
not.
No,
No.
probably not.
Yeah. Um, so this brings me to my next topic that I wanted to talk to you about, which NASA discovers an abandoned military base under the North Pole.
Ooh.
which
Wait, the North Pole? Like it's all
yeah.
water.
Okay, so scientists from the Jet Propulsion Laboratory of NASA have uncovered a massive abandoned military base beneath the North Pole in Greenland. So remember I said I was going to bring up
Oh,
Greenland again.
right, right, right.
So they were using some radar that I've never heard before, and I'm not going to really get into the radar because I don't know anything about radar, and I didn't even know this. Well, okay, I know a little bit about radar, but I'd never heard this term before.
You don't have radar love.
Radar, the this discovery happened while they were studying polar ice layers with a high precision radar. Scientists were working on the study of the polar ice layers when high precision radar they spotted a buried structure. Upon zooming in on the images, they discovered it was one of the oldest secret military bases in U.S. Army, used as a testing ground for developing nuclear missiles from the Arctic. At first, we didn't know that it was in the radar's images. What seems to be a massive structure was revealed deep within the icy landscape. We're, we were looking in the ice bed for a found sorry. Yeah. So the city was under ice and a relic of the Cold War. It was built by the U.S. Army of Corps Engineers. Um, Let me get to this next thing. It had like something I'd never heard before. It had a lot of tunnels, but it had a mobile. It was let me look for what I was reading. It had like a mobile nuclear react. Yeah, it was powered by a portable nuclear reactor, which is called a PM TAC 2 Alpha. The site was abandoned in 1967, 98 feet below the surface. The base was discovered in April of 2024 when they flew over in the Gulfstream 3 aircraft equipped with the NASA's Unhabitable Aerial Vehicle Synthetic, whatever radar, UVASAR. By the way, I didn't know if you knew this, but I am not, in fact, um, a radar technician.
There you go.
I sent you the article about it, and I looked at the pictures. Um, th this base is really interesting, and if you look, not again, I don't want to get political, but if you look at Greenland on a map, Greenland is a lot bigger than I think a lot of people understand, and it's very
Yeah.
strategic for us as far as when it comes to a country called Russia. Um, it's very interesting that they found this out of nowhere, and it was way up there, and that I think Finland, I think actually owns Finland. Yeah, I think it's Finland that owns Greenland
Hmm.
currently. You can't really live there. There's only like a certain small amount of people that live there. It's but
It's,
that's what I
it's always it always just for me since I was a kid that Iceland was the place that was you could go to, but
yeah,
Greenland was the place that was really ice.
right, right. The first troll
Yeah.
ever basically.
Yeah. 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 So yeah,
Um
it's interesting.
yeah, and again the movie Greenland talks about stuff like this. I think there's probably is bases there that we don't know about. I think there's bases in a lot of places we don't know about.
Oh, for sure.
Like Area 52.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's definitely a very strategic area. I think that's interesting. Obviously a lot of stuff happened in the Cold War era that was just a show of force. Uh
Yeah.
and I think it was if I can look into I think I have it right here, but it was they were basically trying to make it into um a missile site, but
Huh.
they didn't but they never used it.
Okay.
Allegedly. I did say it again, allegedly.
Yeah.
Um so that's interesting. We talked a lot about space. Um, again, Josh, I don't know if you know this, but I am not an astronomer. I am not an astrologist. I am not a physicist. I'm not an astrophysicist, but I am. a cryptozoologist.
Yes, yes. And this weird news has been anything but cryptozoology.
Well, maybe we'll get into that next. Actually, we're not going to. We're going to talk about how Jackson Pollock, the artist,
Oh yeah.
was a CIA operative.
Whoa.
So the CIA secretly funded and promoted Jackson Pollock and other abstract expressionists artists during the Cold War. The CIA used the artist's work to promote American values of freedom and individualism and has established the culture of dominance over the Soviet Union. The CIA used the long leash policy to secretly fund exhibits of abstract expressional art. A lot of people, like, before I read too more into this, like, a lot of people were like, obviously they were paying this guy because have you ever seen a Jackson Pollock painting?
I it's an ongoing joke. Whenever my son creates something, I'm like, wow, that looks just like a Jackson Pollock. Um, there's also jokes in movies about it. When uh, there's a well, I can't remember the movie. I wasn't thinking of it right now, but they're threatening to shoot somebody, and we're gonna make a Jackson Pollock all over the wall or something.
Oh, like a splatter. Yeah, because
Yep.
some people call it splatter paint. Some people call it drip painting.
Yeah.
I actually had a roommate in college that he would, as he created it, said it, he would like to go to town on some paint, because he started getting obsessed with Jackson Pollock paintings. And at the time, I was going to art school, so I was like, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them aren't that bad, but also I think I could make that in my garage if I really wanted to, like right now.
Yeah. No, I got some paint right here. Just making Pollock.
Uh,
Jackson Pollock.
it says how this impacted Pollock. The CIA support of Pollock and other abstract expressionalists artists helped to make Pollock a leading figure in art world and increase his fame and influence. How did Pollock was affected? How the public, not Pollock. God, too many P's. The CIA promoted the abstract expressionism and helped establish American art as a symbol of Western artistic freedom. It also influenced the main. Uh, so basically, like they. Here's my problem when I was reading this. So basically, the CIA put a bunch of money into Jackson Pollock, and they're like, "Hey, we have really great artists." But my problem is, for, you can't fabricate art. You can't fabricate artistic, like you can't just make, and like AI is made songs and sometimes they sound good, but like there's something to be said about actual creativity
Yeah.
that's not computer generated and that comes from anguish or whatever that person is feeling at the time.
Hmm.
And a, a lot of people, like, there's a certain ex-president's son that was getting a lot of money for his terrible art. Um, I took painting, or how to, or like painting portraits in art school, and I will tell you, I think I'm a pretty good artist. I can't paint at all. It's super hard. Um, it's definitely like a dying art because I mean, if you think about it, like hundreds of years ago, people were really good artists as far as painting,
Yeah.
and it's a lot harder and harder and less probably like uh uh cost effective to do something like that, or to actually make money off of it.
Hmm.
I have several paintings, and paintings also cost a lot of money. They cost a lot of money normally.
Yeah.
And throughout the world, one of the easiest ways that people know to launder money is through paintings because it's all in the eye of the beholder.
Hmm.
So the fact that they were fronting up Jackson Pollock is so funny because like you were just saying, like, he's just splattering stuff on a canvas, and there's no like impressionism on it. There's like no like, oh, this is my feeling when I see it, or like this is what's happening. It's just a whole bunch of stuff on a page, like kind of like
Right.
when you see a banana on a portrait, and that's considered art. I've seen it was like banana duct taped on a piece of art, and that was the art.
That was
Like
dumb.
what my point is like I don't think Jackson Pollock is that great of an artist, and that's coming from an artist stating that. And I think it makes sense that he was fronted by the CIA. I think it makes complete sense.
Yeah, I was
It-
just reading some of his how much his artwork goes for, or has sold for, I should say. The most expensive painting is called Number 17A, sold for $200 million in 2015. And then there was one in 2006 called Number 5, 1948, sold for 140 million. That's just, I mean, sure. And I think if you look at those paintings and his name wasn't attached to it,
right.
they would absolutely not go for those prices.
Well, there is a side of art to that when it comes to like Picasso. Like Picasso
Yeah.
does weird paintings. And some of them people think like, oh, well, my kid could draw this, and some of them are really good, but because his name's on it, obviously it sells for a lot of money.
It is usually the artist, not the art for a
I
lot of things.
guess as an artist, my favorite artist when I growing up and still to this day is Van Gogh,
Yeah.
because you
Mhm.
cannot dispute the fact that that guy was creative and a great artist, because Starry Night is beautiful and most of his paintings are just absolutely
And it's still hung
amazing.
up in every dorm room in the country. Right
Oh,
next to the Mona Lisa. But no, yeah, Van Gogh's like the only one I actually have art books about. I don't that's the only one. I mean, everyone else, I'm like, sure, I've looked at stuff and I appreciate art. I try to learn it, but trying to learn that on top of everything else I try to learn is just it's hard to there's always we all get 24 hours in a day. We got to sleep, we got to eat, we got to work. So when do you have time to do all this stuff? It's like,
which, if anybody was wondering, I'm doing all the artwork for our podcast. Josh also helps. He does a lot of the artwork too, but I've been currently doing a lot. And I think I'm a pretty good artist. I don't think I'm the best, and I don't some say they're sitting their best. I don't actually think so. I think I'm the best. Anyway, let's jump to the next one. The next one, Josh, I want to talk to you about is ancient Russian alien lake.
okay.
So there's this lake in Russia, and I guess it's like super deep, and I'm talking super deep. And it's obviously with it being a lake, it's a freshwater lake, right?
Yeah.
So there's all these UFO like sightings that are coming out of this lake, and oh, I got busy at the end of today, but do you remember that movie that was made? What's the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy, that the main guy who plays Star-Lord?
Chris Pratt.
He's in a movie about aliens where they go back or to the future. Like,
Oh,
do you know? Look that up while I'm
I'll
talking.
find it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Give me a minute.
So this lake, right? It's called Lake Baikal. Again, by the way, Josh,
Hey, don't even try to say it if you can't.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm not Russian. It's the world's oldest and deepest freshwater lake, which is located in Siberia, Russia, and is known for its unique ecosystem and some of the mysterious and even alien-related stories.
Hmm.
Um, One of the UFO story reports a UFOs emerging from the water and shooting off into the sky. There's been reports that there's been divers that have been down there and they saw three humanoid looking silver bodies that were shooting up out in the water, and then flew out of the water into the sky that they could see while they were underwater.
Hmm.
There's been a lot of UFO sightings there. If you look into like Russian UFO sightings, there's a we can talk in another episode. There's a cigar UFO uh where it crashed, and it's basically like the Russian Roswell incident, and it was cigar shaped. Uh there's a lot of encounters that happen in Russia. I think it's pretty interesting. I don't know a whole lot of about Russian. I don't know a whole lot about Russia, period, and I don't really want to because I
Yeah,
am
so we're gonna stop
American.
talking about that. I'm gonna tell you that the Chris Pratt movie is called The Tomorrow War.
So, in the Tomorrow War, have you seen it?
Oh, is it on Netflix?
I don't remember. I
Or is it
watched it on.
Apple? I think it's Apple. Was it Apple? I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I don't know.
I get mad
But
when they don't go to theaters, so I
well,
don't watch
one of the spoilers I will tell you in that movie that the aliens were they crashed in Russia and they thawed out after that area of Russia started like basically getting warmer and
it.
the aliens de-thawed and started taking over the world.
Oh yeah, I've heard
Spoiler.
that before. Wasn't that in
Uh,
Transformers?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's like it's also like
The Godzilla movies.
the same thing that happened
The
like
Titans are waking up, man. Coming
um
back. Take over what's theirs. Yep.
well, Josh, do you want to talk about some of the things you sent me that sound kind of
Yeah, I
interesting?
got one. I got one thing just to kind of go over. It's kind of fun. It goes with the weird news, and also we're gonna get into a little cryptozoology talk. Hey,
Yeah, finally.
but yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about this one because I did post this on the Facebook group a while back. This happened about a month ago, I think. But that California is actually considering making Bigfoot the official state cryptid. So assembly man, person, whatever you want to call it in California, Chris Rogers introduced Assembly Bill, believe it or not, 666, which would designate Bigfoot as part of the state's emblem family. So like the golden poppy, the redwood tree. The bill has gotten a lot of attention and support. It was actually kind of put as like a placeholder on something, kind of as a joke. But once it got out, it kind of started getting a lot of traction that people were really interested in making this happen to where it is even featured on, excuse me, the Late Show with Stephen Colbert
Hmm.
and things like that. Um, yeah, but there's a lot of interest in that. And I'm like, I'm glad it was put in as a joke and not as a legit thing because California, living in California for almost 7 years, they need to spend their money and time on more important things than naming Bigfoot the damn cryptid, state cryptid or whatever they want to call it. Um, that's just like a waste of time. Like, just say, hey, Bigfoot's a state cryptid. Have a kid make a picture. I don't care. Get it done and stop wasting time. You have so much other things to do. Try walking down the street in downtown LA. I dare you. You
What do you
can't.
mean?
There's homeless people all over the sidewalks. You cannot
Oh,
walk down the sidewalks in Los Angeles.
I've never been to LA. I've been to San Diego, but never been to LA.
Well, that San Diego's, I mean, I've been there multiple times too, but over the years it progressively got worse. So nice area. Still walked around, no problem, but it's like getting worse and worse and worse. And then I know during COVID, when they shut down everything and they had to move everybody off the streets, and then they sprayed the streets with chemicals and stuff to clean off to kill the COVID. Yeah, dude, it's nuts. So, hey, Bigfoot, big priority.
You know
I
what
mean,
I
that's cool. I
say?
think it's fun, but at the same time, if this is a different state, I probably wouldn't be all like pissy about it.
You know what I think they should do?
Ah,
They should put Bigfoot on their national state flag
their national state flag.
or their state flag, not
Yeah, just replace
either.
the bear with Bigfoot.
That's exactly what I
Because
was
how many
thinking.
grizzlies are there in California now?
I, bro, I don't know.
Zero.
Really?
There's no more. No.
Wow. Wow, I didn't know. I mean, I didn't think there was, I mean, you live there. I've never
Well, it's
lived.
definitely not in Southern California. There's too many damn
Mm,
people.
yeah, this is true too.
I mean, there's
Expansionism.
mountain lions. They get around, but
Yeah, well, there's also tons of coyotes when I was reading. Like
there's coyotes everywhere, bro.
there's coyotes everywhere in America, but I guess like people don't even understand how many coyotes are in
Oh
California
yeah.
that are they're just hiding in amongst the
Oh
cities
yeah.
basically.
Yeah, where we lived in the one town we lived in, there's the back, and it's like full populated area. And they'd have paths they would run through, and I'd see them at night in certain areas. And
I live in an island off the coast of Seattle, Washington. Um, and we have coyotes everywhere here.
yeah,
Um, I was going to ask you, Josh, have you ever heard of a ley line?
a ley line.
Ley line.
I have, but for the life of me right now, I can't remember what it is. But I have heard of them.
It
It's
is
it's
a
it's something on. No, tell me. I know what it is now, but I can't. There's part. It's on the map, right? And then
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, it's something that I've been told recently about that I've been seeing in podcasts, and
yeah,
the only reason I bring this up because specifically I was looking into the Mothman
hmm
because I always see that people are like, "What's your favorite cryptid?" I'm like, "The Mothman's my favorite cryptid."
hmm
Um, I'm sorry for all you Bigfoot guys out there. The Mothman's my favorite.
hmm
But it said ley lines are pseudo-scientific concepts originated in the 20th century that uh, was invisible lines of energy connecting ancient sites and landmarks, with some believers suggesting that they guide alien spacecraft or has magical powers. They say like where that Point Pleasant in Ohio is a way line. They also say
West
where the
Virginia.
pyramids are at a way line. Um,
Yep,
I read a whole bunch of
that's right.
stuff about this, and I was like, bro, what is this, man? I
Yeah,
started
yeah,
reading, I was like, I was gonna ask you if you read any into this.
yeah. No, a little bit. I think I probably found out recently too about the concept of it. I think the name he said early 20th century. His name was Alfred Watkins. Believed that these were reorganized by ancient societies and deliberately created for navigational purposes, which is interesting. Um, but yeah, a lot of things are connected somehow, and if you go on a map and
Alien,
draw them, they're considered the ley lines of.
they call them like alien runways. Some suggest that these
Yep.
ley lines are deliberately laid out for prehistoric societies to serve as runways for alien spacecraft. I mean, that it's like when it comes to like crop circles, they talk about stuff like this, that like that's where they're showing that like this is where like to show the aliens that come down and they're communicating and like
Yeah.
I looked into this. I was like, man, when I read it, I was reading. I did a deep dive into it. I was like, man, this is nuts, and I've never heard about this ever. And I just heard about this like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. I've heard a while back. I just never really dug into it.
Oh
I mean,
wow,
basically,
I'm glad
most, mostly because a lot of it is like esoteric societies and like modern paganism all follow these kind of things too. So
Oh
it's
okay,
just kind of
yeah.
like it's like because it deals with like earth energies um
Oh okay.
and things like that too. I mean, there's different aspects on how you want to look at it. Some people just think it's all coincidence too, and
Oh,
don't believe
that's the
anything
next
else.
thing I was reading. Earth energies. Other believe that the ley lines are pathways for Earth energies to have mystical powers. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is wild that like I just heard about this 2 months ago, but like I'm so surprised that it took this long for me to hear about this.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like when you really dig into it, and it's so funny you find somebody else that you know like you didn't know knew about that.
Right.
It's cool.
Y-
Yeah,
Yeah, and again, like the only reason I even knew about it is because someone was talking about the Mothman, and I was like, "Come on, man," because they were saying like the way lines go through Point Pleasant. I was like, "I don't think that has anything to do with it," but sure, whatever. I'll play your game.
Thank you for listening. We may have experienced interference from unknown sources, possibly from another dimension or planet. If you enjoyed the show, please like and share.